Hey guys, when life is going well, it's easy to practice Stoic rules. But when life gets tough, things aren't so simple. As Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until reality hits them in the face. As serious Stoics, it's in moments like these that we need to stay calm, control our impulses, and choose the most appropriate response. Remember, it's not what happens that matters, it's how we react to it. It's not the event that messes us up, it's how we interpret it that messes us up. Life isn't easy. Life is challenging and it will throw you unpleasant things. Plus, you lose something you love. Plus, you get sick. You have to face important life decisions. Plus, your favorite cup breaks. Plus, you feel miserable and depressed for no reason. Plus, the world seems to be against you. Life becomes difficult. The following practices will help you deal with it effectively. Every scar, every failure, every sleepless night is a chance to train your mind like a warrior trains his sword. Life doesn't ask for permission before it hits you. It just hits. And when it does, the question isn't why me, but how do I respond? That's where Stoicism begins. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who ruled Rome amid war and plague, wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He faced betrayal, loss, and death, yet remained calm, composed, unbroken. How? By living the Stoic way, mastering his reactions, not his surroundings. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He knew most of our pain doesn't come from what happens, but from how we think about what happens. The Stoics trained to see hardship not as punishment, but as preparation. And Epictetus, born a slave, taught that no one can chain your soul without your consent. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Life becomes difficult. The following practices will help you deal with it effectively. These weren't theories, they were tools. Stoicism was never meant to be read and admired. It was meant to be used, like armor in battle, like oxygen in the fire. This video will show you how. You'll receive 17 Stoic practices, drawn from the teachings of Marcus, Seneca, and Epictetus. That will help you deal with yourself when life gets tough, because the real battle isn't out there, it's in here. When anxiety creeps in, when fear whispers, when anger burns, Stoicism teaches you to pause, breathe, and take back control. You'll learn how to turn pain into purpose, how to detach from chaos, and how to rise above your emotions instead of drowning in them. By the end, you'll feel calmer, stronger, grounded, ready for whatever life brings next. This series consists of 3 parts, 21 practices that make you ready to face all of life's challenges. 17 practices for how to deal with yourself when life gets tough. 17 practices for how to handle yourself when others challenge you. This video will talk about the second part. 17 practices for when life gets tough. Let's get started together. Practice 1. Your judgment hurts you more than reality. It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Epictetus. You lose your job. A breakup ends everything you thought was certain. Your car breaks down on the day you need it most. The event itself is neutral, but your interpretation of it becomes the true source of pain. Epictetus warned us centuries ago that suffering doesn't come from external events. It comes from the way we label them. Modern psychology calls this cognitive distortion the mind's habit of exaggerating, catastrophizing, and writing stories that hurt us more than the event itself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." That's not denial. It's discipline. It means taking responsibility for the lens you choose to see through. The Stoic practice is this: when something painful happens, pause and tell yourself, "This is just an impression." Don't immediately believe your mind's first reaction. Step back and see it from above, like a general overlooking the battlefield instead of being lost in the smoke. A flat tire isn't a curse. It's a lesson in patience. An insult isn't humiliation. It's a test of your composure. A delay isn't punishment. It's a pause designed for your strength to catch up. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." You can feel that right now. Most of your pain comes from your inner narration, not from life itself. The moment you stop feeding the story, reality becomes much lighter. So, the next time life throws you a curveball, remember you're not hurt by what happens. You're hurt by what you tell yourself about it. Train your judgment, and reality itself starts to feel different. That's how a Stoic wins, not by escaping storms, but by mastering the mind that interprets them. Practice 2. How to deal with pain. Pain is either an evil to the body or to the soul. If to the body, it is the body's concern. If to the soul, then you have the power to choose. Epictetus, pain is unavoidable, but suffering, that's optional. When pain hits, most people panic. They resist it, curse it, or drown in self-pity. But the Stoics saw pain as a teacher, a silent instructor that reveals how disciplined your mind really is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." Modern psychology agrees. What we resist persists. When we fight pain, it multiplies. But when we accept it and observe it without judgment, it begins to lose its power. My mother just died, and it's still hard to accept. But I've overcome the pain that has been with me for a long time. You probably know this feeling too. It's hard to hold back, because we inevitably grieve when we hear of the sudden death of a loved one. It's a natural reaction. Life is not without suffering, Seneca said, and much of it comes from loss. We allow ourselves to cry, and we also allow ourselves to stop crying. We can also sigh, as long as we know when to stop. Marcus Aurelius said that, because at some point, the consequences of grief are more terrible than the grief itself. As they say, if you find yourself stuck, don't wallow in it. Face the emotion and get out of it. Otherwise, at some point, negative emotions will follow. You feel bad when you're exhausted from grief, and this makes you feel worse, and so on. You will always feel trapped. What we can do is enjoy the moments we spent with the deceased. Instead of mourning the end of mother life, we can choose to be grateful for the moments we had with our mother. We will still be sad, but at the same time, we will be grateful. For Seneca, the best weapon against grief is reason. Because fate never ceases to make us cry, but reason stops us from crying. Would the person who has died want you to wallow in grief? It is very difficult to overcome grief, but there is no reason to wallow forever. Life goes on. William Irvine once said, "If a friend is grieving, our aim is to help him overcome his grief." We may even pretend to be tearful with him. But if we actually identify with his grief, we will not only not help him, but even hurt ourselves. There is a difference between pretending to be emotional and actually feeling pain and causing yourself pain. You are trying to help the other person without putting yourself in danger. It is okay to pretend to be emotional, as long as you don't actually become emotional. In modern terms, this is what therapists call pain acceptance. When you stop demanding comfort, when you stop arguing with reality, pain becomes manageable. It becomes information, feedback, not failure. Here's the Stoic exercise pain appears. Whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological, don't run. Label it calmly. This is discomfort. Then ask, can I endure it? Can I still do what's right, even with this pain present? If the answer is yes, act. If the answer is no, rest, without resentment. Either way, the pain loses control over you, because pain only breaks you when you believe it defines you. But to a Stoic, pain is just another arena where you practice courage, patience, and mastery. When you learn to face pain without fear, you become dangerous, not because you seek suffering, but because you no longer fear it. That's the calm power Marcus described when he said, "To welcome every experience as training, that's freedom." Practice 3. Choose courage and calm instead of anger. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Marcus Aurelius. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Anger is the mind's wildfire. It burns fast, feels powerful for a moment, but always leaves you standing in ashes. When life hurts you, the instinct to rage feels natural. Someone disrespects you, betrays you, cuts you off in traffic, and the spark ignites. But the Stoics warn that anger is weakness disguised as strength. Seneca said it clearly, anger, if not restrained, is more harmful than the injury that provokes it. Modern psychology confirms what Seneca already knew. Anger is often a secondary emotion, a mask for fear, insecurity, or pain. You're not truly mad at what happened. You're terrified of what it says about you. Epictetus taught his students to pause before reacting. He would ask, "What impression has just entered your mind?" Then he'd remind them, "Don't be swept away by it." Say, "Wait a moment. Let me see who you are and what you represent." That moment of delay is everything. It's the space between reaction and reason, the gap where courage lives. Imagine this. Someone insults you at work. You can explode, proving your temper is stronger than your mind, or you can take a breath, observe the anger rising, and quietly decide not to let it steer your actions. That isn't weakness. That's mastery. Marcus Aurelius would have said, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." In that simple line lies one of Stoicism's deepest truths. Anger dissolves in self-awareness. We are fools when we allow our serenity to be disturbed by trivialities. That is why Marcus advises you to contemplate the impermanence of the world around you. What makes you angry now will be forgotten tomorrow. Seneca advises, when you are angry, take the following steps to transform your anger into its opposite. Force yourself to relax your facial muscles. Breathe deeply. Lower your voice and slow down, and your state of mind will become as gentle as your actions. Here's your Stoic practice when anger shows up. Don't suppress it. Study it. Ask, what is this emotion trying to protect? My ego, my pride, my sense of control. Then breathe and choose calm, because calm is courage under control. To act with principle, not impulse. Modern neuroscience calls this reappraisal. Your brain can reinterpret a trigger in real time. You can teach it to see insult as noise, betrayal as a lesson, and challenge as training. So, next time fury surges through you, remember anger wants you to act without thinking. Stoicism teaches you to think before acting. You don't need to prove your strength by shouting louder. You prove it by staying silent longer. That's real courage. The kind Marcus practiced when he ruled an empire yet remained gentle with his enemies. Anger is easy. Calm is power. Practice 4. Destroy fear with reason and preparation. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. Fear. It's the mind rehearsing disaster before it ever arrives. You feel it before the meeting, before the diagnosis, before the change. Yet most of the time, what we fear never actually happens. What breaks us is the movie we play in our heads. Seneca reminded us we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. He knew that fear is a liar, a dramatist that turns every uncertainty into a catastrophe. Modern psychology calls this anticipatory anxiety, the human tendency to live through pain twice, once in imagination, and once, maybe, in reality. Epictetus warned, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. Fear feeds on that distorted view. But the Stoic learns to see clearly, to dissect fear into facts. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Write it down. Examine it. Define the worst possible outcome, and you'll often find it's survivable. The Stoics didn't tell us to ignore fear. They told us to prepare. Preparation is the antidote to panic. If you fear failing an interview, study harder. If you fear rejection, practice detachment. If you fear pain, remind yourself, you've survived pain before. This is what modern therapy calls exposure and rational response, facing fear in small doses while arming your mind with logic. What you fear is often a product of your imagination, not reality. You fear what you imagine, not what it is. Most people who are afraid of spiders have never even touched a spider. What are they afraid of? Fear is imaginary, a dream. Instead of continuing to dwell on it, we must stop and ask ourselves rationally, does this fear make sense? We are creating our own nightmares. That is why we must wake up and stop this madness. We are upset by what is not real. What causes fear is not real, but its consequences are real, and it hinders us. We are holding ourselves back. Here's your Stoic drill, 1 price. Name your fear. Don't let it remain fog. Give it form. 2. Challenge it. What's the evidence this will happen? 3. Prepare for it. What would I do if it did? Once you make a plan, fear has nothing left to feed on, because fear thrives on ignorance and dies under examination. A Stoic doesn't eliminate fear by pretending to be fearless. He eliminates it by becoming prepared. When reason steps in, fear steps aside. And that's how the Stoic moves forward, not with the absence of fear, but with the calm confidence that, whatever comes, he's already met it in his mind. Practice 5. Blame your expectations. Is the cucumber bitter? Then throw it away. Are there thorns in your path? Step aside. That's all you need to know. Don't ask why such things exist. Marcus Aurelius. Every frustration in your life comes from one root: expectations. You expected people to be kind. You expected life to go your way. You expected the plan to unfold perfectly. And when it didn't, you felt betrayed. But Marcus Aurelius would have smiled gently and said, "Why are you surprised? The world has always been this way." He reminded himself every morning to expect obstacles, selfishness, ignorance, and chaos, so that when they arrived, he wouldn't be shocked. He was prepared. The Stoics knew that disappointment isn't caused by reality. It's caused by the difference between what you expected and what is. Seneca once wrote, "He who suffers before it is necessary, suffers more than is necessary." When your mind demands life to follow your script, you're at war with reality. Modern psychology calls this expectation bias. The brain clings to imagined outcomes and suffers when they collapse. That's why Epictetus taught, when something happens, don't say, "I have been wronged." Say instead, "I have been trained." Because every unmet expectation is an invitation to strengthen your perception. Think of the last time you were angry. Was it truly because of what happened? Or because you expected something else? Maybe a friend didn't text back. Maybe your career move took longer than planned. When you remove the word "should" from your thinking, they should respect me. It should be easier. Life should be fair. You remove 80% of your suffering. Here's the Stoic practice. Next time you feel disappointed, pause and ask, what expectation did I secretly hold that reality just refused to meet? Blame not the world, but the expectation itself. Marcus said bitterness and thorns are part of nature. Only the ignorant are surprised by them. A wise person doesn't curse the thorn. He walks carefully. He doesn't cry over the storm. He adjusts his sails. We should not be surprised by anything, even unusual events. Remember, said Marcus Aurelius, that you should not be surprised when a fig tree produces figs, or when other unusual things happen. A good doctor is not startled when his patient has a fever, nor is a charioteer surprised when the wind blows against him. So, when life doesn't go your way, stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What expectation did I place on something beyond my control?" Shift your focus from how things should be to how you can respond. Because peace begins where expectations end. And when you expect nothing, everything becomes a gift. Practice 6. Pain and provocation. Opportunities for character training. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Seneca. If someone does you wrong, teach him better. If you cannot, bear it. Marcus Aurelius. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid discomfort, as if life's goal were to never be tested. But the Stoics saw it differently. Every pain, every insult, every moment that shakes your peace is your training ground. Seneca compared life to the gymnasium of the soul. No man appears suddenly great. He wrote, "The furnace tests the gold." He meant that the obstacles you wish weren't there are the very things shaping you into who you're meant to become. Epictetus, born a slave, knew this truth intimately. His master broke his leg during torture, yet he said calmly, "Now you will learn that it is broken." He refused to give power to pain or to his oppressor. because he understood that how you respond to pain determines your freedom. Epictetus giaithich bentatla, motrongai joy voikotha. Nhong an huang jeni chi, truki chi cho lan hu vei. Kekwatla motrongai cho kai chan, nhong fai choi chi, and he decided to see it as a hindrance to the leg, not to the mind. Pain and disease are the same. They are hindrances to the body, not to the mind. We must not allow ourselves to be consumed by self-pity. Such a self-indulgent response will only increase our suffering. Modern psychology echoes this ancient truth through post-traumatic growth, the scientific observation that hardship, when processed with awareness, can lead to greater wisdom, empathy, and purpose. In other words, adversity doesn't just expose your character, it builds it. Picture this: someone insults you publicly. The old version of you would react, defend, argue, attack. The Stoic version breathes, pauses, and asks silently, "Is this my moment to prove that anger doesn't control me?" That's the pivot. From reaction to training, Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, and plague, yet reminded himself each morning, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge was a chance to practice patience, compassion, and discipline. Here's the Stoic drill. When life provokes you, don't ask why me, ask, for what virtue is this an opportunity? Is this the moment to practice patience, to strengthen courage, to demonstrate forgiveness? Seneca said it best, fire tests gold. Adversity tests brave men. You're being refined, not ruined. Each hardship burns away the parts of you that were never solid to begin with. Ego, entitlement, expectation, leaving only the steel of character. Modern psychology might call it cognitive reappraisal. The Stoics called it philosophical alchemy. Turning pain into growth, insult into self-control, adversity into mastery. We should start with small things. Epictetus said, "If we have a headache, we can learn not to curse. If we hear insults, we can learn to be patient." And he stressed that if we complain, we should not use our whole mind to it. Next time someone provokes you, imagine you're in your Stoic training ground, the gym for the soul. Every emotional punch is a rep. Every insult is resistance. Every hardship is weight added to your barbell of character, because you can't grow strong without friction. And the Stoic doesn't pray for an easier life. He prays for the strength to meet a difficult one well. When you live that way, pain stops being punishment and becomes proof of your progress. Practice 7. The calmness game. When circumstances take away your tranquility, return to yourself quickly. Habitually restoring your calm will make you master of your mind. Marcus Aurelius. We all lose our balance sometimes. A late train, a stolen bike, a friend canceling plans at the last minute. It's not the size of the problem, it's how easily it knocks you off center. Marcus Aurelius knew this well. Even as emperor, surrounded by war, disease, and betrayal, he reminded himself daily, return to yourself. Calmness, he believed, was not the absence of chaos, but the art of coming back faster each time you're shaken. Modern psychology calls this emotional regulation. It's the skill of noticing when you've drifted into irritation, anxiety, or anger, and gently steering yourself back to equilibrium. Brian Johnson, a modern Stoic teacher, calls it the calmness game. The rules are simple. 1. Notice when you lose your balance. 2. See how fast you can return to calm. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. The driver in front is scrolling on their phone, and you feel the frustration rising. Most people let it own them. But you practice. You feel the emotion. Label it, I'm frustrated. Breathe, and reclaim your peace. Congratulations, you just won a round. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And there's no braver act than staying composed in a world that constantly tempts you to lose it. Calmness is freedom. Every time you catch yourself reacting, snapping at someone, cursing a delay, losing patience, treat it as training data. You're not failing, you're practicing. Even Marcus admitted he sometimes slipped. What mattered was his quick recovery, the ability to reset before anger hardened into habit. If you blow out a candle, it goes out. If you blow on a flame, it may seem extinguished at first, but it will flare up again, bigger. Everyone wants to be the flame that doesn't get extinguished, but instead grows stronger. So, whenever times get tough, notice what knocks you down, and then see how long it takes you to get back up. Observe yourself and find what helps you find balance. You can play that game day after day, throughout your day. Play the calmness game. When irritation hits, silently whisper, return to yourself. Feel your body relax. Notice the thought lose its grip. Each time you do, you strengthen the neural pathways of peace. Modern neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity. The brain literally rewires toward calm the more you practice it. Ancient Stoics just called it discipline of the soul. Life won't stop testing you, but your response time can change. Soon, what once made you furious will barely move you. You'll be unshakable, not because nothing disturbs you, but because you can always find your way back to center. That's the quiet confidence of a Stoic, not to never fall, but to rise faster every single time. Practice 8. Don't become a puppet. If someone can provoke you, and you hand them your peace of mind, do you not see that you've made yourself their slave? Epictetus. Every day, you hand the strings of your emotions to someone else. A rude coworker pulls one. A stranger on social media pulls another. Even the weather tugs at your mood. And suddenly, you're not living, you're reacting. Epictetus compared this to being a puppet. Your mind jerked around by every external thing. You let others toy with your soul, he warned. And yet you call yourself free. Think about how fragile most people are. One bad comment ruins their morning. A headline ruins their peace. A delay ruins their patience. A coworker who says something, a boyfriend who doesn't call, or a stranger who is judgmental things beyond our control spin us like pinwheels. We let others influence us. Worse, not only other people, but also the weather, social media, news, and sports can control us. We're happy when it's sunny and depressed when it's raining. We cheer when our team wins, but we whine when they tie. It's crazy. Our minds belong to us, not our bodies, our possessions, our friends. Only our minds belong to us. We don't realize it. And voila, your life is in the hands of the weatherman and the referee. We become marionettes, dancing to the strings of things we can't control. But Stoicism teaches something radically empowering. Your mind is yours. You can't control the weather, traffic, or the thoughts of others, but you can control what happens inside you. Marcus Aurelius said, The things outside your control have no hold on your soul unless you let them. And Viktor Frankl, a modern Stoic in spirit, echoed this in the darkest of places. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Modern psychology calls this response flexibility, the space between stimulus and response. That space is where your freedom lives. Protect our peace. First thing to do, don't get excited. Marcus reminded himself to calm down. Once you have calmed down, consider the situation and don't forget your qualities. Then, act appropriately with kindness, humility, and sincerity. 1. Don't be depressed. 2. Do the right thing. That's it. We try to be clear about what happened. First, try not to let your mood get affected. Then, consider the situation objectively and remind yourself of your good qualities. Next, act appropriately. Avoid being hasty. Stay calm and you won't be manipulated like a puppet. Whenever something irritates you, a comment, a look, a tone, pause. Feel the string being pulled. Then, consciously cut it. Say to yourself, this is not mine to control. And with that, you take back your power. Because as long as your peace depends on others behaving perfectly, you will always be their puppet. The Stoic ideal is inner sovereignty, a mind so grounded that no one can push your buttons because you've removed them. Epictetus once said, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. That's how you stop being a puppet, by realizing that mastery doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering your own reactions." So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember they can't control your mind unless you hand them the strings. A Stoic isn't emotionless. They're unmanipulable. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your freedom. And when no one else holds your strings, that's when you truly begin to live. Practice 9. Life was never meant to be easy. Don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Seneca adapted, "The world is nothing but change, and life is but what you think of it." Marcus Aurelius, "We complain at the slightest thing. Who said life was fair? Who said life would be easy? No one said so. That's what we're here for. That's what we go through. That's how we develop ourselves. That's how we learn endurance and perseverance. That's how we grow." What do you think Hercules would be without the lion, the hydra, the stag, or the boar? What would he have accomplished without challenges? Epictetus' example of Hercules is worth repeating. He continued, "It is obvious that he will just roll over in bed and go back to sleep. So by indulging in comfort and ease, he will never become the invincible Hercules. Even if he were invincible, what would be the point? What use would that muscle, that physique, or that great spirit be if there were no challenges for him to demonstrate?" Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Pain, to them, wasn't an interruption. It was initiation. Every setback, every failure, every hardship was a chance to strengthen your soul's armor. Epictetus was born into slavery and beaten for disobedience. Yet he said, "Difficulties show what men are." When life tightened its grip, he didn't ask, "Why me?" He asked, "What am I being trained for?" That's the Stoic mindset, turning every obstacle into an opportunity to practice virtue, courage in fear, patience in pain, resilience in defeat. Modern psychology calls this anti-fragility, the idea that the more pressure you endure, the stronger you become. Muscles grow by tearing, character grows by testing, and the Stoic grows by refusing to collapse when life strikes hardest. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, "You were born for this, not for comfort, but for confrontation, not for rest, but for responsibility." He ruled an empire through war and plague, and still wrote calmly in his private journal about gratitude, humility, and strength. When life feels heavy, don't wish it away. Instead, whisper to yourself, "This is training." Every frustration is resistance training for your character. Every difficulty is weight added to your internal barbell. The more you lift, the stronger you get. The point is not whether life will test you, but when life will test you, and how will you respond? Will you respond positively, ready to tackle the problem? Or will you react like a victim, complaining and getting upset at the first sign of difficulty? Do you see it as an opportunity to learn and become stronger, or will you get frustrated and start crying? So when life gets tough, remind yourself that difficulty is what you are here for. It will make you stronger. Thank it, because it's sculpting you into the kind of person who can handle more than you ever thought possible. Life will never stop testing you, but the beauty of Stoicism is this: every test can become your transformation. When you stop expecting ease and start expecting growth, life stops breaking you and starts shaping you. That's the paradox of Stoicism. The harder life gets, the stronger you become. Practice 10. Here and now. Confine yourself to the present. Marcus Aurelius. Do not let the future disturb you, for you will meet it with the same reason that now arms you against the present. Marcus Aurelius. Your mind is a time traveler, always racing toward the future or drowning in the past. But the Stoics taught the only place life actually happens is right here, right now. We understood something we keep forgetting. Life is not lived in years or even days, but in moments. Seneca said, "We spend our hours replaying yesterday's mistakes or fearing tomorrow's storms, while the present, the only time we truly possess, slips silently through our fingers." Modern psychology calls this mindfulness, but the Stoics lived it centuries before the term existed. To be present is to be alive. To be distracted is to be asleep while life passes you by. When your mind starts to wander to what if and if only, gently call it back to now. Feel your breath. Notice the sounds around you. Recognize that this moment, this breath, is enough. Don't forget that the past and the future are not in our control. The past and the future are both innocuous. Marcus says that the present moment is the only thing we have. No one can lose the past or the future, for how can we lose what is not ours? The past is gone. The future can only be influenced by the actions we take here and now. That is why the Stoics say we must be mindful in the present, focusing on what is real and tangible. Our voluntary thoughts and actions are the only things we have control over. They are only in the present. If we want to be our best selves in every moment, then we need to be conscious of our actions in the present moment. Where are your choices? Only here, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but now. If you can master the present, you master everything. Think about it, every victory you've ever achieved happened in a single moment of focused presence. Every breakthrough, every act of courage, every word of kindness, all born in the now. So, when anxiety hits, whisper to yourself, "Not yet." When regret whispers, "Too late," answer, "Now," because now is all that's ever been real. Marcus wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That wasn't morbid. It was liberation. It meant stop postponing presence. Stop waiting for the perfect day, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of you. Right here, right now, you have enough to act with virtue, to love deeply, to breathe calmly. The Stoic doesn't chase the moment, he becomes it, fully here, fully aware, fully alive. Because the present is not a place you visit. It's where the entire Stoic life unfolds. Practice 11. Appreciate what you have. Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Epictetus. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. Marcus Aurelius. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. In times of hardship, it can be helpful to remind ourselves of what we have, because we forget how fortunate we are and how good life has been to us. Be grateful for what you have, even in the face of adversity. You don't need more, you need less, and you'll be freer. The more you own, the more you have to lose. Be grateful for what you have, appreciate it, and find ways to make the most of what you already have. Epictetus shares the rule. Focus on your own, not on what belongs to others, but on what is given to you, and do not covet it if it is taken away. When it is no longer yours, be ready to part with it, and be thankful for the time you had it. Don't crave what you don't have, but appreciate what you have. Always be ready to give back what has been given to you, and be grateful for the time you had it. This rule is simple, remember it. But most people live like beggars in a palace, blind to the riches surrounding them. They scroll through lives shinier than their own, comparing, craving, complaining, while missing the miracle of what they already have. The Stoics warned about this blindness 2,000 years ago. Seneca said, "No man is poor who can still laugh." They knew that peace is never found by adding more, but by realizing you already have enough. Modern psychology agrees. Studies on happiness consistently reveal that gratitude rewires the brain, reducing stress, sharpening focus, and amplifying joy. The Stoics didn't need neuroscience to tell them that; they lived it. Marcus Aurelius began his days with a silent ritual. He reminded himself of all that was still his breath, his reason, his ability to act with virtue. He didn't wake up chasing fortune or fame. He woke up practicing perspective. When you feel envy or discontent rise, pause. Look around you. Your body works. That's wealth. Your mind can think. That's freedom. Someone loves you. That's fortune. You woke up today. That's enough. Epictetus once said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and your life will flow smoothly." It's not resignation, it's wisdom. It's learning to find harmony with reality instead of waging war against it. Imagine losing everything you have tonight: your home, your health, your loved ones, and waking up tomorrow to find it all returned. You'd weep with joy at the same ordinary morning you once took for granted. That's the power of gratitude. It changes nothing externally, but transforms everything internally. Gratitude is the art of seeing clearly. The Stoics practiced something called negative visualization, imagining loss, not to feel sad, but to awaken appreciation. When you picture life without the things you love, your gratitude becomes sharper, more real. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." And he was right, because gratitude is rebellion against greed. It's choosing contentment over consumption, sufficiency over endless desire. So when you catch yourself yearning for what's missing, whisper the Stoic reminder. You already have everything you need to live well. Gratitude doesn't make life easier, it makes it richer. Because when you learn to appreciate what you have, you stop being a prisoner of what you don't. And that's when you finally realize you've been standing in abundance all along. Practice 12. The difference between you and others. When someone does wrong, it's because they don't know better. If you understand that, you'll pity them, not hate them. Marcus Aurelius. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Marcus Aurelius. When another blames you or hates you, or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside, and see what kind of people they are. You will realize there's no need to be racked with anxiety about what they think. Marcus Aurelius. Here's a Stoic truth that changes everything. You and others are different, but not in worth, only in awareness. Most people live as if sleepwalking, reacting to impulses, chasing status, drowning in ego. You've probably been there too. We all have. The Stoics called them the untrained minds. Not evil, just unaware. Everyone sees things differently. When a coworker breaks a glass, you stay calm and comfort yourself with a German proverb. Broken pieces bring good luck, or comfort yourself with, "It was inevitable. Let me clean it up for you." But when we break a glass, we quickly judge ourselves as clumsy or incompetent. Obviously, it is much easier to stay calm and maintain composure when misfortune happens to others than to ourselves. Wouldn't it be better to stay calm when misfortune happens to us, I mean? We are just like everyone else. Why make a big deal out of something small when it happens to us, but react so calmly when it happens to others? The universe treats us no differently than it does to others. It doesn't revolve around us. Things happen to us and to others. Things happen the way they are meant to happen. Get used to it, Seneca said. We are all mad, only the degree differs. He didn't mean it cruelly. He meant that each of us struggles with irrational thoughts, emotional storms, and ego-driven decisions. When you remember that, you stop taking other people's behavior personally. So, when someone wrongs you, pause and say to yourself, they're acting according to what they believe. Don't let their ignorance provoke your ignorance. Instead of reaction, offer reflection. Instead of blame, offer balance. Epictetus taught what upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about things. So when others attack you, gossip about you, or misunderstand you, realize it's not about you, it's about their perception. Their storm doesn't have to drown your calm. You can't control what others say. You can't fix how they think. Before judging someone else's reaction when they encounter misfortune, think about how you would react if you encountered the same misfortune. You will understand that person better, and your response defines who you are. So when someone disappoints you or mistreats you, don't think, "Why are they like this?" Instead, think, "I once was too, and I might be again." That's humility. That's empathy. That's Stoicism. Because the difference between you and others is not superiority. It's awareness. And awareness, lived daily, is what turns philosophy into peace. Practice 13. View from above. Whenever you want to talk about human affairs, take a view from above. Marcus Aurelius. When you feel trapped in your problems, zoom out. That's what Marcus Aurelius did when the empire weighed heavy on him. He imagined himself rising above it all, seeing cities, soldiers, markets, and people from the clouds, birth and death, joy and despair, victories and funerals, all happening at once. From that height, everything that felt so personal suddenly looked small, fleeting, and strangely beautiful. The Stoics called this exercise the view from above. It's one of the most powerful ways to restore calm and perspective. Imagine this: you leave your body and slowly rise through the ceiling of your room. You see your home, then your street, then your city, a web of human lives unfolding at once. You rise higher, mountains, oceans, continents, and soon the entire earth rests silently below you. The planet spins, the sun blazes. From this height, your worries shrink to the size of dust. Marcus said that many of our miseries exist only in our imagination, illusions born from zooming in too close. When you step back, you see that your pain, your deadlines, your arguments, all are moments in a vast, interconnected story. Seneca reminded us we suffer because we imagine ourselves greater than a fraction of the whole. The view from above dissolves that illusion. You are both tiny and essential, a thread in the great tapestry of nature. Modern psychology calls this self-distancing, observing your life as if watching from afar. It's proven to lower stress, reduce anger, and increase compassion. The Stoics mastered it long before neuroscience caught up. Here's your Stoic practice. Whenever you're consumed by anxiety, betrayal, or frustration, pause, close your eyes, and mentally rise. See yourself from above. See your street, your city, your country, and finally, the whole earth. Billions of people, each carrying their own invisible burdens. Ask yourself, how big is this problem really? Will it matter a month from now, a year from that height? Everything changes. The insult becomes trivial. The delay becomes tolerable. The pain becomes part of the pattern. Marcus wrote, "You can remove many unnecessary troubles by judging things from above. Because perspective is power, it gives you proportion, peace, and humility. So rise above your ego, your frustration, your small view. See the world not as yours alone, but as one grand unfolding of life. Billions of stories, all temporary, all sacred. That's how you regain peace, not by shrinking your problems, but by expanding your view." Practice 14. It's all ordinary things. Everything that happens is natural, just like flowers bloom in spring and fruit ripens in summer. Marcus Aurelius. When something bad happens, your first reaction is often, "This shouldn't be happening." But to a Stoic, Everything that happens, even pain, betrayal, or death, is simply nature unfolding as it must. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that sickness, insults, losses, and even death are as natural as the changing of seasons. To resist them is to fight the rhythm of the universe. To accept them is to finally live in harmony with it. Think of a storm. The storm isn't evil. It's just part of the sky. The same way, tragedy isn't a violation of life. It's part of its design. Marcus wrote, "Whatever happens is just as ordinary and familiar as the rose in spring or the harvest in autumn. When something unpleasant happens, whisper to yourself, this too is natural. Traffic natural. Sickness natural. Death painful, but still natural. When you label everything that happens as part of the human condition, you take back your peace. You're no longer shocked by adversity. You expect it, and that expectation gives you power." Marcus wrote, "One generation passes, another replaces it, yet the earth remains." Humanity has always gone through the same cycles of hope, heartbreak, and healing. What feels catastrophic today has been lived and survived 1,000,000 times before. It's just the nature of things, repeating, flowing, evolving. Things are the same as they have always been. We are still doing what needs to be done. Emotions and experiences come and go. But life is all about the same things: marrying, raising children, getting sick, dying, fighting, crying, laughing, partying, pretending, grumbling, falling in love, lusting, and arguing. Nothing new. Things were the same 10 generations ago, and they will be the same for generations to come. Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius went through the same struggles we are facing 2,000 years later, which is why their lessons are so relevant today. Marcus reminds us that things repeat. Evil a common occurrence. Whatever happens, remember this. It is a common occurrence. Not here, but somewhere else. It happens all too often in history books, from ancient times to modern times, in cities, in every house. We are like the generations that came before us. We are here for a while before we are replaced by the next generation. The earth will always exist, but people will not. We should not be surprised by the little things, the things that happen over and over again, and that we can easily see. Things break, people die, games have losing phases. We have failures, like flowers blooming in spring or trees bearing fruit in summer. These are things that happen over and over again. Don't take it so seriously. Remind yourself that what happened to you is nothing special. Hundreds of people have experienced it before you, and hundreds more will experience it when you are gone. Sorry to say it, but you are not that special. What happened to you is not that special. How you behaved is not that special. This may help you put things in perspective and not take things so seriously. And don't take yourself so seriously. You are just like everyone else. To a Stoic, nothing is shocking. Nothing is new. It's all part of the eternal rhythm. And when you truly see that, life becomes lighter, calmer, and infinitely more beautiful. Practice 15. Meat is just dead. Animal. Observe objectively. When meat and other foods appear on the table, see them for what they really are: dead animal flesh, fermented grapes, dyed wool. Such a perspective strips away illusion and reveals their true nature. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius wasn't trying to ruin your dinner. He was reminding himself, and us, to see things as they are, not as the mind decorates them. That fine meal, it's simply cooked animal flesh. That luxurious robe dyed sheep's wool. That intoxicating wine fermented grape juice. That romantic desire, a temporary impulse of biology. This way of seeing doesn't strip life of beauty. It strips it of delusion. The Stoics practiced objective representation, the art of removing emotional exaggeration from perception. They believed that much of our suffering comes from the stories we attach to things, not from the things themselves. As Epictetus said, "What disturbs men are not things, but their opinions about things." Modern psychology calls this cognitive reframing. When you describe reality as it is, not as your ego paints it, you regain control over your emotions. Marcus trained himself daily to do this. He would look at everything, wealth, fame, pleasure, pain, and reduce it to its essence, not out of cynicism, but clarity. Because once you see something clearly, you're free from being ruled by it. Here's your Stoic practice. The next time you're overwhelmed by desire or disgust, strip away the illusion. When you crave something, ask, what is this really? When you fear something, ask, what is this made of, that anger? It's adrenaline and ego. That heartbreak, it's unmet expectation. That craving, it's a chemical signal. By naming things truthfully, you rob them of unnecessary power. Seneca wrote, "We suffer because we imagine what things mean, not what they are." To see objectively is to live freely, untouched by exaggeration, advertisement, or impulse. This doesn't make life dull. It makes it pure. It allows you to enjoy a good meal, love someone deeply, and admire beauty without being enslaved by any of it. The Stoic doesn't look away from reality. He looks straight at it, unfiltered, uncolored, unafraid. And in that clarity, he finds something more valuable than pleasure or praise, peace of mind. Because truth, even when plain, is always liberating. Practice 16. Avoid rashness. Examine your reactions. Practice saying to every harsh impression, "You are just an appearance and not the thing you appear to be." Then examine and test it by these rules whether it concerns what is in our power or not. If it concerns anything not in our power, be ready to say, "This is nothing to me." Epictetus. We are hardwired to choose what makes us feel good and avoid what makes us feel bad. It's our survival instinct, and it has a huge impact on our behavior in everyday life. This is the main reason we procrastinate, and this is the main reason you curse at someone while driving. Stimuli create reactions, and we are drawn to them. In most cases, these reactions happen automatically. You've probably noticed how fast you react. Someone cuts us off and we yell at them. Grandma brings us cookies and we eat them. Our brother is watching TV, so we sit down and watch with him. What's the problem? Our reactions are always wrong. Our emotional reactions are counterproductive in today's world. If we only choose what makes us feel good, we'll waste our lives watching Netflix, eating M&Ms, and drinking goon. The problem is, what feels reasonable isn't often the right thing to do. We must avoid being hasty in our actions. As Epictetus said, do not be carried away by violent reactions, but say, "Oh, reaction, wait a moment, let me see who you are. What kind of reaction you are, let me test you." check your first impressions. Is it really that bad? What exactly happened? Do I really want to go down that road? Why do I feel such a strong urge? What do I know about this person? Impulsive reactions solve nothing. Avoid thoughtless emotional reactions. And then consider what we can do about it. Don't worry about what is beyond our control, because we can't do anything about it. Epictetus saw this centuries ago. He knew that between stimulus and response, there's a space, and that space is where your freedom lives. His advice was simple when provoked. Don't act yet. Pause and say to yourself, this is only an impression. Because impressions, those instant emotional jolts, are often wrong. Your first reaction is the animal within you. Your second, the human. The Stoic waits for the second. Marcus Aurelius faced insults, betrayal, and bad news daily, yet trained himself to observe rather than react. He wrote, "When you are jarred by circumstances, return at once to yourself and don't lose the rhythm more than you must. When something provokes you, breathe. Then ask, is this within my control? If yes, act with reason. If no, release it immediately." Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Just a few seconds of pause transforms rage into awareness, impulse into discipline. It's like a warrior drawing his sword, but then lowering it, realizing victory isn't domination, it's control." Think about how many problems in your life began not from what happened, but from how you reacted. A single sentence you regret, a message you wish you hadn't sent, a decision made in heat, not reason. Stoicism is the antidote to that. It replaces reactivity with reflection. Epictetus compared life to archery once you release the arrow. You can't control the wind, but you can control your aim. Rash reactions are arrows shot blind. Modern neuroscience proves this ancient insight. The amygdala fires in milliseconds, but the prefrontal cortex, your reasoning center, takes longer. That's why Stoic training is the art of buying yourself time. Each pause rewires your brain toward mastery. So, next time you feel provoked, don't rush to defend or attack. Smile internally. You've spotted the moment of choice. Say to yourself, this is just a reaction, not reality. And when you can observe your emotions without obeying them, you've reached true Stoic strength. Because wisdom isn't how you act when life is calm, it's how you pause when it's not. Practice 17. Do good. Be good. Do not act as if you are going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Marcus Aurelius. You're not here forever. Why are you watch this video? You won't get a badge of honor or a diploma for learning about Stoicism. No one cares what video you watch or what you know about ancient philosophy. And you don't care because you watch it for your own benefit. Because you want to be the best version of yourself you can be. Because you want to be able to deal effectively with life's challenges. Because you want to live a happy and fulfilling life. That's all that matters. Musonius Rufus reminds us philosophy is not about showing off, but about focusing on what is necessary and attending to it. Who you are and what you do is what matters. Epictetus says that it is the excellence of a person that makes him good. If you develop qualities like justice, equanimity, courage, self-discipline, kindness, or patience, you will become good. No one can deny true beauty. Good and bad are our choices. What matters is the actions we choose in that situation. If you want to be good, if you try your best, the result is not important. Goodness comes from within. Don't be a show-off when you do good. Just keep doing good deeds, like the vine that produces another bunch of grapes in its season. Marcus reminds us to do good because it is the right thing to do. Leaders choose to act not to receive thanks, recognition, or badges of honor. Do immediately what nature wants you to do. Do it immediately if it is within your power. Do not look around to see if anyone sees what you do. What is your duty? It is to be a good person. Very short but not easy to do. But if we set the goal to be good people, I believe we can achieve it. Start by doing small things first. Marcus described 3 types of people: those who do good expecting payment, those who do good and expect gratitude, and those who, like a vine producing grapes, simply do good because it is their nature. Be the vine. Act rightly. Not because you'll be noticed, but because it's who you are. Musonius Rufus, the often overlooked Stoic teacher, said, "Philosophy is not words, but deeds." If your learning doesn't make you calmer, kinder, and stronger, it's just noise. So ask yourself tonight, did I do good today? Did I live according to reason, courage, justice, and self-control? If yes, even in a small way, that's Stoicism in motion, because wisdom is nothing without action, and goodness delayed is goodness denied. When life falls apart, you meet the truth of who you are, not the version the world sees, but the one who breathes in silence after the storm. You've walked through 17 Stoic rules not as a checklist, but as a compass. Each rule pointing you back to the same destination, the place inside you that chaos can't reach. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He wasn't urging fear, he was reminding us to live now. To choose calm while the noise still roars. To practice virtue when it would be easier to complain. To see every hardship as proof that you are still becoming. So tonight, breathe deeply. Remember, you've already survived everything that was meant to break you. You are not the storm, you are the one who endures it. And if these Stoic lessons spoke to you, stay with them. Revisit them. Turn them into practice, not just memory. Because philosophy isn't something you know, it's something you become. If you found strength here, consider subscribing to channel, not for the numbers, but to build a community of calm minds in a chaotic world. Until next time, walk with composure, act with courage, and remember, the obstacle is never the end. It's the way forward. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for being present. I'll see you in the next part of 55 Stoic practices. Good night. Sweet dreams.